It's day 46 of the Iran-US-Israeli war, and the first 24 hours have passed of Donald Trump's blockade of Iranian ports. Retaliation for Iran's effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz that JD Vance, the Vice President, has described as economic terrorism. So what, if anything, has been the impact on shipping in this crucial shipping lane? This shows us 24 hours of movement since that blockade began. We've speeded it up. You can see scores of cargo ships and tankers on either side of the strait at bay, uncertain what to do. Many have been there for weeks. Some vessels, though, willing to make the dash through the Strait of Hormuz, despite it facing not one but two blockades. Let's take a little look at some of the vessels individually, because they tell a tale about what's going on. This is the Elpus. It is US sanctioned for having moved Iranian oil in the past. It's come from Bushehr in Iran, where it's filled up with oil. We don't know where it's going, destination unknown, but it has passed through very close to Kishan Island here, and it got as far as here, just off Oman really, but then it paused about 10 hours into the blockade. We don't know why it stopped, but it hasn't moved on. There's a similar story with this vessel, the Rich Starry, again, US sanctioned. This one's Chinese owned. Again, it headed east out of the Persian Gulf, got to here, and then a few hours ago, it turned back. We don't know why, but it has nevertheless done a U-turn. Now, it came from an anchorage off Sharjah in the UAE. Donald Trump has said that neutral vessels that aren't going to Iranian ports will have free passage. So we have to wait and see what happens to this vessel, and whether that US sanctioning trumps any of the questions about where it's actually loaded up with oil. Let's look at two more, because they show us another side of this story. The Kishan and the Peace Gulf, somewhat optimistically named. They've got several things in common. Number one, they are heading into the Gulf. They're not heading out. They're both empty. They're not laden, so they're presumably looking to load up with oil. They are both linked to China. The Kishan has come from Lanshan in China. The Peace Gulf is Chinese owned. There's something else they have in common, though, that I want to point out here. See if we can get a look at this. They've both taken this route north of Larak Island. It's a narrow strait above the main Strait of Hormuz, and it's where Iran has asked ships that are paying a toll to pass through so they can take a look at them, actually almost physically. Tehran's toll booth. Now, we've got no idea whether these vessels have paid that toll, but it is perhaps telling that ships on the way in have chosen to take that route. The big question for these vessels and the others we've looked at is what happens when they eventually do try and leave the Gulf. Now, the US Central Command has said that in the first 24 hours, 10,000 sailors and Marines and a dozen warships have enforced the blockade. No ships have left the Gulf, and that 6 Marine ships turned round back to Iranian ports. We don't know if any of the boats we've looked at are part of that. What we do know is that the bulk of shipping is not willing to take the risk of potential Iranian attack by moving through the Strait of Hormuz in any volume, as long as these two are trading barbs, even with a ceasefire, as long as there's a diplomatic impasse. The Strait of Hormuz effectively remains closed, and the global economy and all of us ultimately will suffer.